Hi, my name is Sally Bernard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery, and with the help of my spirit guides, it's time to trust your intuition. Sit with me and call in live 888-994-4995, Studio A. And now onto the show. Hi, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. We have a few people in the studio that are ready to ask me questions, and anybody that wants to call in. I'm a medium, a psychic, and I can answer. I don't like to know my questions, so it's perfect for you to call in. I don't need to know what you're going to ask me, but my guides help me give me the answers. So please call into our show. We're ready right now to start and open the show. I have a special guest, Alicia, sitting with me right now, who I know that we can have we've been talking a little bit, so our conversation, hopefully you guys are going to be really interested in what we have to discuss. Hi, Alicia, welcome to my show.
Hello, Sally. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Okay, I'm going to open the show to you to ask me some questions, and I think we have some noise in the background that's going to, hopefully doesn't take away the vibrational energy here. So I know we were talking a little bit before. I think that he needs the banging. Okay, we were talking a little bit before about religion, spirit, what we're open up to. So if you'd like to ask me some questions on that, I said to you as we were having the conversation, it would make a very good opening for our show. So please be free to ask me whatever you want as far as that goes.
Well, you know what, with this banging, let's utilize the banging in the background. And that's something that sometimes life's bangs and interruptions.
It throws us whatever the word is. Life throws us
curveballs and humps and things of that sort.
Okay.
So with that said,
but he really does need to stop
in the spiritual realm, I
think maybe we can ask.
In the spiritual realm,
okay,
maybe it's distracting for you,
okay.
But you know what?
Okay.
That's a metaphor for what
That's
happens.
okay, because I've learned, actually, many people ask me, even if I'm in a restaurant, are you able to do this? Because certain people have to have it really quiet. I actually don't. Maybe the banging might be disturbing me a little bit, but it's a lesson that I have to learn. I'm going to cut it out of my mind right now.
Well, with that said, it's something that I also see that many of us, sometimes we get so sidetracked with the noises of life.
Right.
And it can even affect our spiritual walk.
Exactly.
And so what are the tools that you would recommend for people to utilize so they can maintain their internal peace, which is very difficult?
Well, I think, first of all, as we were talking before, belief is very important. It doesn't matter, as far as what I have to say is what religion, whatever you believe in, but I believe it's really important to believe. Let's say a higher power, be it God, be it whoever, whatever religion. It's important to have that inner feeling, to know that there is somebody guiding us. I actually, just for my own personal, I feel that it's my higher self in contact with whomever that may be. Mm-hmm. I totally believe in God. Of course I do, as a higher power. But if you have that belief, it can take you anywhere, at any time, at any place. And hi, Sandy, please welcome to my show. Please come and sit down, right? Okay. So as far as that goes, and I think that's how we wanted to begin our conversation with truthful. I feel that belief is really important. Without that, with whatever our belief is, we don't have too much to connect with. That connects us to wherever we need to go. Do you feel?
Somebody once told me that we were born with like a hole inside of us that needed to be plugged in. It's like our plug-in with God. And I think that's really spoke to me. It's me personally. I'm a Christian, so with me, I needed that understanding to understand. Okay, once you're plugged in, and I think that's what you're discussing. It's that desire to believe, or the necessity that we need in faith.
And I like the fact that you brought up that you're a Christian, because I'm Jewish by birth, but it doesn't matter. And I've said this before on my show. What race you are, what color you are, as long as you have a belief. Because I believe without belief, not everything is possible. With belief, anything is possible. So I feel very strongly about that. No matter how you were brought up, no matter what your background is, as long as you have that firm belief inside of you to know that you are being guided. I also feel we have like a higher self that is which I'm contacting as far as my belief, and I don't expect everybody to believe this, but shows me where I'm going and gives me messages. If I didn't believe that, I wouldn't have tuned into whatever I'm tuning into. So it doesn't matter, whatever belief or whatever religion, it doesn't matter. It does not matter as far as I'm, with what my message is.
A quick question, because it's just a little bit different, but a lot of people I'm hearing all over on social media, I'm hearing it from friends, I'm hearing it that it has a spiritual point of view, because I believe that if you look at the stars and the astros, there's a spirituality that comes with it. And how do you feel about this eclipse that's going on, that it's being spoken a lot about?
I had said this before on another show of mine, I'm not really into astrology. However, and there's a big however with this, I believe that this is a very important time going through this eclipse. And also my belief is that what we do on Earth is we figure it out before we come in. But that would bring in the time when we're born and the month that we're born. So I believe very much in astrology, although my guides will help me with this, I have not ever taken it into studying astrology, but I believe that. Now, getting back to the eclipse, I believe that this eclipse is really important. We're getting a lot of things out there, people saying, be careful. My message is be careful, okay? I don't know too much about it. I know that part of the world will be in darkness. We're getting a lot of people with fear with this. But continue, as I always say, don't feed into what I'm going to say, the dark side of things. Let's say whatever is going to happen is meant to be happening. I believe it's a very important day, okay? Very important day. That's what I feel.
And something my mother always said to me is that we were chosen to be living in this era. It's right. So
absolutely.
So if we are living in this era, then we are equipped to deal with these things. This is not something that's a novelty, I think, for our spirits, for our souls.
Perfect, Alicia. I like what you said. And I feel, I was actually, and I'll say this on the air, I was going to do a half-an-hour show, but I feel, and it's not out of ego, that my message is important. I'm getting more and more viewers, and I feel that I need to be tell people what I feel. They don't have to believe it, but I think it's really important. And the fact that you're sitting on my show, and I know we just met a little while ago, but I feel like I've known you all my life, just as Sandy, who has come here. Actually, everybody, Freddie and Dawn. This is not coincidence. So our message, I'm going to say, is important, but it's not out of ego. It's an important message to give to people. So the fact that we're bringing this eclipse up is not coincidence either. I never know what I'm going to say on my show because I answer questions, but I believe it's an important topic, just as what we were discussing before, to have this belief, which is very strong.
Wow.
Sally, I wanted to ask you, a lot of people base their success or failures on their beliefs, on whether or not they believe on the outside things telling them what to do, horoscopes and things of that nature. Is it easier to look at oneself and make that determination? Like if I were to ask you a question about my confidence or something that I want to take a chance on, is it easier to be successful if you believe in things that you can accomplish and control?
100%, because as you know, you've known me for a long time now, Freddie. I believe that it's very important to be positive, but that goes in within ourselves, because what we put out there, and people say it goes out to the universe, and this is coming very strong. Yes, it does go out into the universe. So if we're going to say we're having, and I brought this up before, I don't have any confidence, I'm having a bad day, I don't look good, guess what? That's what we believe. Belief is very important, and that's exactly what happens for the rest of the day, for the rest of the week, and I can even go into the year, unless we change that around and say, oh my gosh, I'm looking in the mirror, I look kind of good today, I'm having a good day. It's important what we believe, to put that out into the universe. And you know what? This isn't coincidental because the noises. I meant to block this out, and I can. It makes it a little difficult, but maybe that's something I'm meant to overcome, which I think I pretty well can because I've given messages in restaurants with a lot of vibrational energy. That's fine, okay? So that was an important question. What we believe is what we believe will happen. I truly believe that.
And what about how we treat one another then? And why is that so lacking?
Well, we have a lot to learn here. We came to this earth, planet, to learn. And I think all we are left with, truthfully, and I've heard this from a lot of people, is to learn love. Love is very important. Love thy neighbor, love love our enemies. We have enemies. We may not like someone, but forgiveness, that's what's coming to me. Let's try to forgive. Having said that, and I had this conversation the other day with someone, yes, we can forgive, but by no means should we ever be abused by someone else, be it the way someone looks, be the way what they say to us. It doesn't matter. What we feel is we're abused by that person. We don't have to tolerate that. So someone said, well, if that happens, what do we do? What do we do is we walk away from that situation. We don't want to dwell on that situation, but we need to get out of that, what I would say, low energy. And this is important because it's come up to me a few times, and myself too. I feel that if we can't escape it, we don't feed into it. That's most important. That's
and how do you stand to learn a lesson if it's detrimental to your health?
Okay. Oh, if it's detrimental to your health, well.
I mean, how can I learn something? You said we're all here to learn. How can I learn something if it's detrimental to my health to learn it?
Well, if it's detrimental to your health, whatever is happening, you still need to walk away from that situation, Freddie, no matter what it is. If you feel that situation is hurting you and is making you physically ill, then you have to let that go and leave that situation. I believe that's very important. Because it's not always easy, Sandy. How can you do that is a very valid question. But to the best of your ability, you need to get out of that situation. I don't always follow that, but as time has gone by, I see that if I do follow my advice, it makes it better, okay?
But again, how do you learn something if something is not making it learnable? Is that
okay?
No,
sentence? I understand what you're saying, and I have an answer for that. The fact that you present yourself with that problem, you know what that is, be it whatever it is. Once it's now in your life, you know that maybe it's a lesson that you're meant to be learning. But during that period, there is no reason to take abuse from that situation. Does that make sense?
It does, but then again, I go back to the original question.
Okay.
How we treat one another. So if you have a person or an entity that is being abusive, that doesn't go back to the first question where how do we relate to one another? How do we teach one another? Why is it that there is such discombobulation between people?
Then if you can't, let's say, get out of a situation, you have to find a balance there. Balance is very important. See that because if you really can't get out of that situation for the time being, try to solve it by, I want to see your point of view, here's my point of view. As long as you have a discussion on that, you're getting balance. Because if you don't talk about it, it's going to eat up inside of you, and that situation is going to get worse. So my answer to that is if you can't escape it, and not everybody, it could be in your own house, are you able to get rid of that person or move out of that situation? It's not as easy as it sounds. Well, it doesn't even sound easy. So you find a balance, communication. I'm getting very loudly, you have to have communication. Without that communication, it's going to eat at you. It's going to make you feel awful. It's going to hurt you. So talk it out. May not be what you want to hear, but at least you presented your point of view. Does that make sense to you guys?
It does, but I don't think it gives resolution to the aspect that, do you work it where you get more confidence to be able to do that? Or do you get it to a point where you communicate with somebody because you're not confident enough to really carry what you're supposed to do? I mean, I'm more confused. How do you rectify a situation that's not working?
Communication. That's all I'm hearing. You have to communicate. May not be what the other person wants to hear, but you may not hear what you want to hear from that other person. But at least you've opened up a channel here.
And I was going to say to you, Sally, maybe the method of communication has to change. Maybe
yes. We're getting a lot of interruptions, but I feel that there's a reason for this.
They're trying to figure out what time to do your commercial.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. We don't even have to really break, but I don't mind.
Well,
whenever they want.
That's
all right.
They're moving some equipment around.
No problem. That's all right. No, I'm not complaining. You know, I never complain. But there's always reasons for certain things. I'm sorry, Alicia. I lose myself sometimes.
No, I was just saying, perhaps if there's a different way to communicate. You know, like you can't try to fix something the same way and then try a different route. If there's a different method.
That's actually very important too, because without that communication of what you want to express, you don't know what that other person's feeling. It may be a valid reason that they're acting the way they are, but without understanding that, how can you ever solve that? You're not going to get that balance.
You know, it's almost like with a kid. When you're working with a kid or you know, any relationship, if you try to do the same formula and you're not getting the results that you want, you have to change the formula around.
Perfect.
And that's just my point of view.
And in most cases, that communication works. And Vicky, if you're listening, and that's my niece, has a child, and I know you won't mind me talking about that, who has autism, who actually is is a relative of mine. And he's now 24. And it's so hard, and I see what she's going through, to be able to communicate. He thinks, and his process, who knows what's right or wrong, he's processing it in a different way. But that brought home to me how important communication is. But you try to see where that person is reacting. We're not all psychologists, and I don't claim to be a psychologist, but I know that I can have that feeling. Does it always work? No. But at least we can feel happy with ourselves that we've tried to convey where we are, even if that person doesn't want to hear it. It makes whoever is saying that, it really makes you feel better. Instead of letting it eat you up. We know that that can cause disease. It can cause many, many things. As you know, we were talking about the cells in our body. Because if that happens, everything gets aggravated. So it gets worse and worse and worse. And then you get disease. I'm a big believer of that.
Well, the thing is resentment, jealousy, hatred, any of that creates like a poison in our bodies.
Absolutely.
And we're slowly poisoning ourselves and not even realizing that our emotions is just telling ourselves to like destruction. So instead of retaliating on the world, it's actually retaliating on ourselves.
Within ourselves. Because we were also discussing that. I keep bringing up what we were discussing, but I don't think there's any coincidences. We were talking about the cells in our body. As Aldo, who knows who Aldo was, as my guide here, he used to say, we're the universe for what's inside of us. So if we're aggravated and we're feeling bad, our cells react. I mean, I don't expect everyone to believe it, but as long as we implant that, our cells are reacting and they're going, I don't like what's going on. And that's what causes disease, because it's out of balance.
So, like, think about it. A lot of people have like their stomach problems.
Right.
And okay, what's the emotions going on behind it all? And after a while, it just becomes chronic.
That's exactly right. And if we don't, and I mean, have I followed this? No. I suffer sometimes from my stomach and a sore throat because I know my weaknesses. But as long as we're aware of it, we can help ourselves. Let's try to breathe. I was just looking at breathe, which your show was all about. That's so important. Let's try to center ourselves and not, let's change, if we can, the situation, even if it's just in our mind. We'll say, I don't like the way that this is going. It's making me sick. And just by saying that, we can, I truly believe we can change this. We listen to many people. You just brought someone else, a doctor, somebody that I had watched on Gaia many times,
Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yes, I've watched him many times, and I love that man. He's very, very able to do this. And I've watched many shows. He's actually on Gaia, where I saw him, but he's on YouTube. And how any of these doctors that come forward who didn't believe this, but have had a life-changing experience. It's sometimes we have, let's say, a near death or whatever it may be, and it changed, which I had very similar, so it changes me, as I know you did, Sandy. I'm not sure about you, because you haven't told me your story, but I know with a few friends that have had a near death or something similar, they've changed, because we see more of the outer what's going on, not always what's going on within us, and that outer can change our belief from within.
Sally, I want to change gears a little bit. There's so much mental anguish right now. My sister lives in New York City, and what's going on up there is just atrocious, where women walking down the streets are getting punched in the face and what have you. And they're blaming it on mental anguish. They're saying that our society has become a sick and disturbed society. How do we deal with something like that? How do you...
One step at a time, Freddie. Yes, we are out of control. I'm the first person to say that. The world is not in balance right now. And the more that we concentrate and we see that these things are happening, we're bringing fear into our lives. And you know what? Fear creates fear, and fear creates problems. So I'm not here to change the world. There's no way I can do that. But I can give a message to try to say, and it's terrible. I mean, people are getting punched or whatever in their face for no reason. This happened a few years ago.
It happened yesterday again.
It did. I try not to listen too much to the news, but I'm still a human being, so I will listen to certain things I did not know about yesterday. Be aware of your surroundings, but try not to, we can walk down the street, and it's very easy to say, I'm really scared. I think I'm going to get punched in the... I'm not making light of this situation at all. But I could walk down and say, I hope I'm not going to get punched in my face. Just like in a car, I hope I'm not going to get into an accident. Let's try to say, let's ask for help. Say, please protect me. Put a white shield around me. I don't want these awful things to happen to me. By doing that, we're expressing that. And we're taking a little bit, not everything, because it can still happen. But I think we believe that we're protecting ourselves. It does help. It does help. Is it a solution to the problems? No, but it makes it a little better. Hi, Sandy.
Hi.
Did you have a nice time in California?
Oh, once I got there.
Okay.
I'm going through some things.
Okay.
And I just don't know how to handle it. I hear every word you're saying, and I try, but there's no one there to help me, and I'm still in a bad situation.
Okay, what I need to tell you is there's many people here to help you, Sandy. You don't have to believe it, but I know that you do because you understand a lot. Reach out to what we necessarily can't see, but we can feel. So when I'm saying that, it's easy, oh, here she goes again with all these people that are helping us. But yes, you have many people, I'm going to say, on the other side that are helping you. Try not to feed into what you're going through. It will get easier. I'm feeling, which I haven't said to you before, I'm feeling a lot of stress right now with you. I'm feeling that you're feeling overpowered by a lot of the situation, and I don't, we're certainly not going to put it on the air at this point, but I'm feeling this anxiety from you. Relax. Try to see, I'm going to say one moment at a time, not one day at a time, as we say. This too shall pass, okay? Look at it, how important in the big realm of everything is it, how important is it really for you? Try to relax, try to get, I know this is difficult for you because I know you don't keep hours as far as sleep goes, but it's very, very important to get your rest. I need to tell you that, and maybe you can relate to that right now. You've been my friend for many, many years. I'm telling you, please get your rest. Please try to see the bigger picture, Sandy, okay? It's not as bad as you think it is. I promise you that, okay? It's in your mind bad, but it's not as bad as you think. rest is really, really important for you. I'm so glad that you're here on my show, because that gives you a feeling of relaxation, which you badly need, and I'm happy to see you again. I know you were out of the country, out of the state for a little while, but I'm happy to see you back. Rest, please rest, it's really important. Whatever is going around you doesn't have to affect you, but the more that we get aggravated with a situation, the more everything else seems to come and thrown at you. Your story, and one day we will have you on the show, is of amazing strength. Remember that. You have done so much with your story, okay? And I'm sure you don't mind me bringing that out on the air. And even a movie made about what happened. Don't lose that strength. Please, you have an inner strength that's so important for you, okay? Does that make sense to you?
It does.
Please try. I'm here for you. You've been my friend for many years. I'm here, but I just feel your anxiety. Let it go. Please, as best you can, meditate, breathe, as your show says.
There was something, I'm sorry to go ahead.
No, that's fine.
It's just that, okay, I'm
happy.
sensing a disappointment in you, like something you're very disappointed about, or whatever it is. But and then something that came to me, Sandy, is for her to go for walks. You need to go to long walks.
Which is relaxing.
And maybe in the mornings, early or late afternoons, and it's a great way for you to, you can put on your headphones, listen to a wonderful inspirational music, or listen to Dr. Joe Dispenza that we're talking about earlier. You will love, and then just to kind of get your mind into a different state to guide you. Because if you can relax your body is going to be moving. So at nighttime, you'll be more at peace, so you can do what the doctor ordered.
And Alicia has a show on breathing. She was just doing that. That's so important. Breathe in, breathe out. So I'm happy to have her as my guest, because I think you needed this, Sandy. It's going to be okay. In your mind, you may not see that it's okay, or you may feel that you feel let down over something. I don't have to know what it is, but that's what I'm feeling. Or you trusted something that didn't come about. Again, we don't have to air it on the air, but let it go. That doesn't matter. It doesn't have to come into your now right now. Your now is relaxation, is breathing, is enjoying life the best that you can.
So I have a question.
Okay, good.
Can we do it after commercial break?
Yes,
sure.
absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
let's go to commercial break.
Okay.
Tell them.
Okay, we're going for a commercial break. You know that I'm in a different world right now. Hi, Pete. Okay, I was going to do a half an hour show, but I'm actually staying with the hour because I can't do this anymore with a half an hour. So we will continue for the rest of the next half hour. Happy to have you all as guests. Thank you for that. Okay.
I was just going to say we're on commercial now.
This world, this life, this illusion. What is going on, we ask? What is happening? Why not take time and see what is happening? This world as we know it, it seems so real, and yet so far away from where we've come. Corruption, greed, anger, power, revenge. Please wake up. We can change what is around us. How, we may ask? Learn to go back to where we were. Then we will have the clues. Then we can change and go forward. Please take the time. Do not fall into the game which we have put upon ourselves. We can change. We can make a difference. We have the power, each and every one of us. Go in peace. Go with love. Go as one. Zena.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Bernard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came to the U.S. in 1979. A mother of two and grandmother of four, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the third dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest in art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she's able to astral project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life's direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today.
My story starts at 4 or 5 years old. My name is Sally Bernard, and I was born at the end of the Second World War, in the middle of an air raid siren going off. My parents were in a movie theater, and my mother went into labor. My father ran out of the movie theater, but there was no cabs to be available because everybody is running for cover. However, they found one, and the taxi driver was given the address to take my father and my mother to the hospital. As my mother was in labor, about a half an hour, I arrived at exactly midnight. I think I was fed messages at a very early age. My parents used to like to play cards, and they had a card game every Wednesday or Thursday night at home when I was a baby. And I actually said to them one day, why do you keep waking me up at night? The card game is waking me up, and I can't get back to sleep so quickly. And they looked at each other and they said, we're not really waking her up. They were quite away from my bedroom. And they called in a psychic to say, what in the world is going on? And the psychic said that I'm getting many messages that are waking me up at night. I thought whatever I was experiencing, other people were experiencing too. You don't know until you realize that you are different. Many things were happening to me, things that were unexplainable to me. What I had dreamt was happening. I could sense many things, and the things that I was sensing were coming about, but something was going on. I will explain to you everything. You're ready. Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Bernard, and you can find my book and artwork by visiting artbysallybernard.com. Now back to the show.
36 pounds.
Sally, you're back.
Oh, was that on a show? Oh my God, can we delete that little bit? Hi, I'm back. Unfortunately, I was talking about Steve, just to let you know. Unfortunately, he's still bad, but he's in recovery mode right now. But he's lost a lot of weight. Okay, so if anybody heard that little bit of the conversation, I was talking about my husband, who is getting better day by day.
Good,
okay?
great.
But he still has a long road, so he's a little bit, I'm going to say, unsettled right now. But yes, it is difficult. It's difficult for anybody, for a caregiver, for the person that's sick. And I don't believe that was coincidence that we're having that conversation in the beginning just now. Because anybody, we take away sometimes from the caregiver. And now that I have been a reciprocant of that caregiver, it's not easy. No. It's not easy. But you have compassion, you feel like, the important thing is, for anybody that's listening, is that you can't get yourself too lost in that situation, because then it's affecting you, and it can make whoever it is that's being the caregiver, they can also get sick themselves. So I think that was important, that message.
At a time when you're with him, does time seem to speed up or slow down?
That's a good question.
Thank you, ma'am.
I never really even thought about that. It can slow down if the person that you're with, not necessarily me, is suffering, because that suffering seems to go on forever.
Right.
But on the other hand, as soon as you get a little bit of they're getting better, then it speeds up a little bit. Absolutely, Pete. Yes. Yeah. Introduce you, Pete. Hi.
Yes. Hi there, everybody.
Hi.
Hi,
okay.
Freddie.
So that's a good analogy, actually, I think, of what we were just talking about, because the more that we lower our vibrational energy, the caregiver ends up getting sick themselves. And that's what I think is important, because they're feeding into maybe the person that's sick, and that's anybody that's going through something like that, unfortunately, maybe on a lower vibrational energy because they can't get themselves better.
I had a doctor who was healing me, and he said, I was thinking about not healing you because I didn't want to bring home psychically to my wife what I had. I was like, whoa, we are on a different level of thinking here.
Yes, it definitely. So again, it's balance. You have to have compassion for the person that's going through their illness, but you can't let that bring you down. Because if you bring yourself down, you're not going to be helpful for the person that's going through that, and you're also not going to be able to help that person. So if you can get that balance, which is very important, then you're both on the way to recovery, because it is a recovery process with a caregiver, which is something I never knew, because I knew someone that was going through their wife was going through a lot. And I would say to myself, why is he always so down? He's all right, but he wasn't. And I'm seeing that. Maybe that was a lesson I was meant to see, because I'm thinking, don't bring yourself down, but I didn't understand it. And he was always moaning and saying this and that. So now I see it. It doesn't help.
Exactly.
Doesn't help.
Reiki healers go through this too.
Reiki, yes, because you're taking on, I'm an empath, so I'm taking on feelings, so much so I don't really want to go because it's a little personal, but into details that I will just say this, and this is, doctors would never understand that. Unfortunately, and he's getting better, my husband has a lump here. As soon as he told me that, and many people that know me, I have a lump here. So I went right away to the doctors because his unfortunately was cancerous.
That's stunning.
So I said, what's going on with me? I have a lump. I've had an MRI and I've had a CAT scan. They don't know what it is. But as far as I know, it's positive because it's nothing that serious. However, I've got a lump. So we take on, and I never would have said this, but we do take on a certain amount of that. Anybody that's an empath knows this.
Exactly.
When someone's hurting, we hurt. So we have to clear that. It's important for me to understand that. I have to clear that because I'm no help to anyone, including myself.
The funny thing about the Reiki healing, I've been doing it since I was 7. I have to be 7 feet away from everybody, and I can't think about the healing. I have to think about her glasses, or I have to think about his watch, or something else.
Yeah, you do, because otherwise you're bringing that in. And as I was discussing with Alicia earlier, we're just, and Aldo used to say this to me, our body is a universe for what's going on with inside of us. And that can be cells, it can be anything pertaining to our health, because they're ganging up. They want to keep us alive. Our body wants to keep us alive because we're the universe for what's going on within us. So if we let that affect us, that goes, it's the same with the world. Earth, Mother Earth. My goodness, what's happening? What are we doing to Mother Earth? We need to raise our vibrational energy. If nothing else from this show, please understand that we need to leave. It's not easy, but lift our vibrational energy out there to give positive thinking, positive thoughts. Don't bring it in, don't hold it in. Even if you're angry about something, as we were saying before, bring it out. Because once you face that fact and you talk about it, you've expelled it slightly.
Exactly.
Not completely, but we've expelled it.
I got a question for you, if it's okay.
Yeah, it's
All right.
okay.
2 weeks ago, you and I were talking about needs to do with people's friendships or their marriages, doing each other's needs. How many needs per day do you think human beings can handle doing for each other?
It depends on the person. It totally depends on the person. I can get overwhelmed even with conversations and people asking me questions. I know, and I have a particular girlfriend who lives in Melbourne. We talk a lot, but she respects that. And I can say to her, you know what, I can't go on. I'm feeling tired. So everybody is different. An individual is different. So it depends entirely on the person. I can do this show for an hour. Could I go out and do another show for an hour? I don't know. I don't think so, because I'm using a lot of energy, as anybody, especially an empath, will use that energy.
What do you feel that when you say you couldn't go on for another hour after that? What do you feel
Well, I mean, I
inside?
could, and I have, and I've given messages to people, but we also have to take care, anybody that's an empath will understand this, we have to take care of ourselves, of our inner being. So the vibrational energy affects an empath more than it would somebody else because they're aware of it. Being an empath, I think, is being aware of what's going on. So then that can create illness, it can create many, many different things. So I have to let it go. I don't always practice what I'm saying, but there is a point that I know that I've exhausted what I'm able to do. Yes, I could do another show. I shouldn't really say that. I could give someone messages. But we are our own judge of what's going on. So if I feel tired, I know I need to stop.
And you said you have a lot of healers around you too, constantly too.
Well, I have my guides,
Guides,
especially
right.
one particular person, which Sandy, who had met Aldo, and people that knew him, is I always feel that he is around me, and he will tell me, stop. He gives me many messages. Even I'll turn on a radio, and I'll hear a song that I need to hear. I'll say, if you're around, play this song. For me, he's passed, obviously. And I will hear that song, so I have no doubt in my mind that my guide, who was my guide on earth, is still with me here.
That's fantastic.
So thank you.
Really
Let's see
is.
if we got anybody. Do you have something, Freddie? I believe that, I feel that you wanted to say something.
No, I'm just talking to other people that are listening to the show.
Okay.
I think that a lot of people are looking for answers to questions that they're afraid to ask. And sometimes relationships or getting into situations, you don't ask the right question because you don't want to let the demon out of the bag or say something that you shouldn't say. So I wanted to ask, should you be honest enough to say what you have to say and not worry too much about how others are going to perceive it?
Important, and I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, because again, I always hear that message: be true to yourself. So if something, try. And I don't follow this all the time. If I say something and someone criticizes me, I hold it very deeply within me. Sometimes I don't like that. However, I know that there's a reason for that. So if you feel, or anybody that's listening that wants to call in with a question, you may not necessarily don't have to give your name. You're just a person on the other end of this. Ask the question. I'd be happy to answer. Sometimes we don't always like to hear the truth, of how, and I'm as careful as I can. I don't like to give out negativity. Someone asked me a little while ago, when do you think I'm going to pass? Even if I knew, I can't tell them. I'm not there to do that. I can say, be careful, you're going to have a bad throat or whatever, just watch your health. But I'm not there to do that. So, but I think you need to express, that was primarily on their what they were thinking about. So I don't say, don't ask that question. I can't give the answers to that because that's me. I can't, I won't.
How do you think April is going to be for business?
Well, for business, okay, I think after the eclipse, I'm getting many messages about that. I think then you need to seriously concentrate on where you're going, Freddie. Give it thought. Don't jump by impulse, which I believe you don't do anyway.
Yeah, I do.
You do act on impulse? Okay. I do too, but okay, that's interesting. I felt that you gave it a little more, well, give it a little more thought than just impulse, okay?
In our business, you have to go with your gut feeling.
Yes, you do. That's different, okay? If your gut is telling you something, go with it. But sometimes we're not always in sync with that, if that makes sense to you. So give it a little, I believe impulse is, I've done it all my life. I've gone with impulse, with whatever I've done. Even with my show, when you're asking a question, it's impulsive. I'm answering right away. I trust my answers because I'm getting them from somewhere else. However, there is something coming up, a few things. Don't be as don't act so much on your impulse. Give it thought then, which I thought, and my mistake, because I thought you did give it a little more thought. Maybe you do, but may not even be aware of it. I always say go with your gut, but don't be impulsive with your gut, in other words. Give it a little, there is two things I'm feeling very strong at the end of April, beginning of May. You will be presented with something. Remember what I'm saying. I can't always tell you I'm right, but I want to tell you this. Don't jump into something with impulse. Please give it thought. And then go with your gut after you've thought about it, because I believe I preach very much about going with your gut internal feelings, because that's important. But don't be quick. Know that it's definitely coming from your gut, if that makes sense to you. It may not right now, but near the end of this coming month and the beginning of next, you'll say, Sally, I think I know what you were talking about.
Sounds like I shouldn't take the path of whatever is being presented.
Well, I think what I'm talking about is more into the next few weeks, the end of the month. So you may not even be presented with this situation right now, Freddie. It's something that's going to come about. And I think you will instinctively know what I'm talking about when it happens, come to me. I'm not going anywhere. I've just decided to do another hour instead of a half an hour show here. So ask me to the best of what I can do to my ability, I will give you. You don't always have to follow what I'm saying, but I will tell you what I feel.
I have another question for you.
Absolutely. Go ahead,
A
Pete.
couple of weeks ago, I told you about, we agreed that all of us, when we're sitting around with our devices, every one of us, whatever we're looking at on our devices is showing up on another device or another device. We all know what's happening there. But what's happening with me now, and I like your answer on this, now I don't even have to be touching any device at all. I'm just thinking of something, and it's showing up on TV or radio or the cell phone. What do you think is going on?
You've tapped into your intuition, which you know that anyway, okay? That happened to me a little while ago. I won't bring up again with a half-hour show, but I was thinking I'll do an hour show every other week. 2 seconds later, this conversation that was going on with someone else, that it's not necessarily a good idea. You need the continuity of what you're doing. So it's happening to me too. We get our answers from the most unexpected places, be it the show here, be it outside. We might even see something on someone's car. Will give us the answers. The key here to be is aware of that. Just know that our answers are all around us. As long as we're open to it, they're showing us. They show everybody. Not me, it's not you, it's everybody. But you have to be aware of this. If you're not, it doesn't mean anything. But I can ask a question and I'll suddenly hear a tune on the radio, exactly the song that I was thinking about. So the person that I asked that question was answering me, that has transitioned, and it's his way of telling me, I'm around, you're doing the right thing.
Unbelievable. And
It happens many times.
And some people say they see the answers or their thoughts in the cloud. What do you think about
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. Something happened to me today, actually, that you're bringing this up. It's hard for me. I have a double car garage, and I've allotted that Steve can go into the garage. I bagged my car getting out on the double car garage, so I'm leaving it outside a little bit, which I'm going to change, but that's just by the by. It was misty, and I'm not used to getting into a car that's being left outside all night. I had to go out early this morning to get myself gas. I looked at the back of my car, and I suddenly saw all these faces of people dressed in, like, from years ago. I'm going, am I imagining this? Because it was the way the water had gone on the back of, I believe that's why I was leaving my car outside. I've not told anybody this. But I was going to take a picture, but I'm driving, going, what are these people all doing on my windshield at the back of my car? I could see the faces.
That's stunning.
Even I go, oh my gosh. So that was the reason for me leaving my car outside, I think.
I haven't said this to you yet. You're blowing me away. Every time I see you here,
Thank you.
she just keeps blowing me away.
Thank you, Pete.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's see if there's anybody else here. Sandy, Freddie, Dawn has disappeared, but she's back. She's listening somewhere.
I have another question for you, if you don't mind.
No.
All right. Two people that have loved each other all of their lives in a friendship or in a marriage. One dies, the next one dies a couple of hours later, a couple of days later, a couple of weeks later, a couple of months later. What do you think is going on?
I believe, and I'm glad you actually asked me this, because I truly do begin to understand this. They die of a broken heart. There is such a thing in my mind. Is you love someone and you've been with them, let's say 50, 60 years, it doesn't even have to be that long. Your heart is hurting. You want to join them. Of course, I believe in my belief system that we carry on. We transition. We see all our loved ones again. So that's actually what's happening to the other. We often hear that. A couple are together. One is in a nursing home. The other person is holding their hand. They're broken-hearted when that person dies. They follow. It happens many, many times, more often than we actually realize. They're dying of a broken heart.
So you think the broken heart is translating to the electrical system of the body and everything else? And
Yeah,
bang,
that's
it's
because
shutting
I know
down.
you understand a
Right,
lot
yes.
too. Yeah, I don't have the answers on that. I just know that. But again, that other person that's passed, and I was listening to a show, I was listening to something the other day that my friend in Melbourne told me to listen. It was about, he was actually a very well-known producer who had been producing many films, and suddenly after many years his life his wife died very suddenly, and he didn't pass, but she gave him, I mean, he had a lot to lose by coming out on the television program to say this. They've actually wrote a book together from his departed wife, which helped him a lot over the grief. He was given so many messages that I want to contact him. He leaves his email open for people to contact so that they can continue. And he's written a whole book about what his wife is talking about on the other side. Now, I'm not saying that he would have died, but they were very much in love. But she must have known that somehow. I don't know this person. I just watched it on television. But he still had that communication with her. So sometimes when someone passes that you're very close to, that other person and the need to be with them is so strong that they die from a broken heart. It doesn't have to happen that way.
It's amazing. What do you think of when people die that way and they say they're talking to each other from the other side? Do you think a voice? You're hearing a
Well,
voice or
I've had
feeling?
that many times from
Yeah.
anybody that knows me, and you know Aldo. He contacts me all the time. I mean, do I expect people to understand this? No, but I will switch on something on my TV. I will ask a question, and there is the answer. As soon as I turn my television on, I put on my computer, there is the answer. But because he was with me in this life and was able to understand this, I actually did this with him. I would ask a question, and he'd say, turn on the TV, you'll get your answer. So now, from the other side, he's giving me these answers himself because he knows that's what I will relate to.
You know,
I've no doubt in my mind that is him.
since I've known you, and I told you what I do, you're getting the strongest signals I've ever heard in my life.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you.
You're really stunning me.
Thank you very much.
You're
I
welcome.
mean, again, try to be devoid of ego because I believe that we all can do this. But there is I have a message that I know that I have to continue to give to people. I'm at the last part of my life, and openly will say that. It doesn't matter anymore because age is just a number. But I'm coming to the end of my lifetime. But I think it's important that I spread this message. I think it's very important. Can we all do this? If we believe, we can tap into it. But I believe that this is what I'm meant to do.
What are your dreams like? Color, black and white, clear as day?
Recently, actually, the last couple of days, I've had some very vivid dreams. But this all started with messages that you don't necessarily, I know you don't know my whole story,
Right.
but it started with messages from dreams. That's how actually the whole thing started, because I started Astral Project. I didn't know what astral projection was, but my guide knew that I was doing that was here, and entered one of my astral projections 18 years ago and taught me for 18 years till he passed. Every single day he called me with something to tell me what was going on.
Have you been getting this strong since you were a kid?
No, well, I did, but I didn't know what it was. It happened later in my life. When he'd looked for me from an age of 1 year old. He came in with memory, and he looked for me. So for viewers that don't know, and I know you know Aldo,
He was your college.
he was everything to me, yeah, everything. A day never went by that he didn't call or ended up living in my place, actually.
Sally, you got 5 minutes left. I wanted to ask you a question I've never asked anybody in the business. More and more interns, which I call producers, are coming forward. And a lot of them, I don't believe, are going to be successful in this business. Yet, I give them a chance to find their place. Should I tell them, or should I let them tell themselves?
I think you need to point it out to them, but something else that I'm feeling very strong since you mentioned this, and I think you mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, they need to be longer here because they're learning a lot. I don't know quite how that works. I think it's a 6-month apprenticeship or something like that. I don't know. But I believe they're going to learn a lot here. So I think that you need to keep them, if they will, a little bit longer. Give me the question again.
The problem I'm having is that some of them coming in are just not going to make it in this business.
They need to, if they're real, and I don't know a lot of the new ones that have come in, they need to commit here. If someone doesn't want to commit for, say, a year, I'm not saying that's feasible, I don't understand how that part works, then you might get some indication that it's not necessary for them. Because I believe truly with everything this is a great place for them to learn, and you've seen that. So try to get a commitment for longer than however long it is out of them, and I think you will see a difference. for the ones that will commit.
It isn't the commitment. The heart is willing. The problem is that the skills that you need under the current situations.
Intuition is where you come in.
But it's not going to give them an opportunity to succeed.
No, we can't put that upon ourselves either, Freddie. As long as you give them the opportunity of whom maybe they can expand in your studio, it's still up to them. It's absolutely up to them. You're giving them an opportunity. And if they feel that it's not, they will leave anyway. But for the ones that don't, they will commit.
No, I'm not talking about the ones that leave. I'm talking about the ones that come in and you sit with them and you've seen enough to know that they're going to have a very hard time, and they don't have the ability to hang in there or the ability or the finances to do it.
Then you have to let them go. You have to
So
be
do you
honest.
tell them this?
Yes, absolutely, because actually you're doing them a favor. I mean, you can put it in a way that it's not you personally, but I feel that you don't have, be honest with them. Say, I'm not getting that vibe. You will feel it. You don't have to hurt somebody that way as long as you do it.
But that would be hurting them.
No, because if you do it tactfully, and you can still leave it up to them, but point out what you're feeling in a nice way, that it's something you have to, this is what they're telling me to tell you, it's something that you have to be committed to for, I'm going to say 6 months or a year. Do you feel that you can do this for a year? If they don't, they will know. They know. And then point out, I mean, I don't know. This is the message that I'm getting for you. You need to point out to the ones that you feel that are not necessarily going to be committed. Of course you have to tell them, because not only are they wasting their time, they're wasting your time too. For people that may come in the next day that have more of a commitment. Does that make sense?
It does. It isn't about the waste of time. It's more about the dedication to the art, to the trade.
Same thing. Because if they're not that dedicated, they're wasting their own time.
Well, some kids have gone to school for 4 or 6 years.
Well, only you and the person will know that. By your questions, and you need to ask deeper questions maybe, Freddie. This is what I'm hearing too. Ask them a little, go into their background a little bit more of why you know what to do. I don't, any part of this, I don't understand.
So you're saying I should be honest?
Absolutely 100%, but in a tactful way. You don't want to say, oh, you're no good, you're not going to be here. Even if you feel it, just say, maybe this isn't for you. Look a little deeper into yourself, maybe come back, because timing is everything too. If it's this month, may not be good. Next year might be for them. So you're doing yourself both a favor by being honest.
May I give out my email address?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Joyce's, JOYCES, radio, RADIO, at gmail.com. Thank you.
And also, I need someone to give my email out to, because once I'm here, Dawn, hello? Yes. I need to give out my information, Dawn, because when I'm in this trance, I can't figure it out. I can do everything else.
Contact Sally at callmezena11@gmail.com or on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at callmezena. You can always call into the studio at 888-994-4995 Studio A.
And I'm also open to anybody that is local that wants to come in. I'm here to give messages. We use the other studio where I can give half an hour or an hour a message.
Sounds
so
good.
Please contact me if
All
that's
right.
what you may want to do. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye for now. We'll see you.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Bernard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you can always seek me out for resources by visiting artbysallybernard.com. Join us next week, Mondays at 2:30. Have a blessed day.